Here on this program is on a regular basis we get to interact with the men and women who serve us in law enforcement, and the Luther Family Ford Salute to Law Enforcement is just one of the many ways that we do that. Very thankful to Joel Bechtold and his team for sponsoring the Salute to Law Enforcement. And this particular month in January we are honoring the Cass County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Jesse Johnners here in studio with us this morning. Hey, Jesse, good to see you, man.
Good morning. Thanks for having us on.
Before we get started, though, Jesse, tell them what you said when you walked in.
Well, when Tony and I walked up here, we looked in the studio to, of course, say hi to you guys this morning, and we saw that box of Sandy's Donuts sitting there. And we thought, well, they're trying to bait us into the studio.
Great sense of humor. Yeah. Yes, love it.
Yes, we are here today to say thank you to the Cass County Sheriff's Office for all the good work that they do. But in particular, we're honoring one individual who has had, this isn't just like kind of a one-time go above and beyond the call of duty. We're talking about a guy who's been serving this community well for more than 40 years, Sergeant Tony Krogh, and he is one of the rock stars at Cass County Sheriff's Office, and he's also with us today. Hey, Tony, how you doing?
I'm doing very well this morning.
Thanks for coming in. It was great to meet you the other day over at Luther Ford, and great to see you again this morning. Thank you for making some time for us today.
You're very welcome. It's good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for doing it. So I'll tell you a little bit about Tony, and then we'll visit with him and Jesse a little bit. Tony began his career in 1975 as a correctional officer at the Cass County Jail. Since then, Tony has served in many different roles like civil process, warrants, and investigations. Tony was a long-serving member of the DEA Drug Task Force. In 2011, he was promoted to rank of corporal and assigned to the Patrol Division. In 2017, Tony was promoted to sergeant and again assigned to the Patrol Division. He served on the Red River Valley SWAT team for 12 years, and he currently serves as the leader of the Peer Assistance Crisis Team for the Sheriff's Office and has played an important role in the welfare of his coworkers. Tony has received numerous awards through the Sheriff's Office, like the Distinguished Service Medal, Sheriff's Medal, Combat Cross, Life Saving Award, and Meritorious Unit Citations. In 2013, Tony was nominated by his peers and received the Sheriff's Office Supervisor of the Year Award. He's been recognized by several local, state, and federal agencies for his contributions to law enforcement in the state of North Dakota.
I think you missed the Badass for Life award, buddy. Man, it's awesome. What a resume.
Yeah, that wasn't it wasn't
right?
the bio that Sheriff Johner sent to us, but I guess we could throw that in there. While off duty, Tony is very involved in the community and has spent 5 years as the state captain of the North Dakota Patriot Guard. And so we congratulate Tony for a great 45-year career doing such a great job for law enforcement. Wow, Tony, that's a lot. You've been busy over 45 years.
I try to occupy my time.
Yeah, and sounds like they're finding lots of things for you to do. Tell me, over 45 years, what are some of the favorite things that you've done? You've served a number of roles. What have you enjoyed doing most?
I guess all of it, really. I have really enjoyed my time with Backup Patrol since 2011. And part of that is just the opportunity to work with our newer officers and hopefully give them a chance to maybe pick up a few things that I've learned along the way and help them to have a great career.
Tell me a little bit about the path that you've been on, getting into law enforcement and through your career. Did you always want to be in law enforcement, or is it something that sort of happened to you as you get through your college years and sort of happened to you?
It more happened to me than necessarily something I started out to go towards. I came down to NDSU studying agriculture. I was planning on going back home to the family farm.
And where's the family farm at?
Out in western North Dakota.
Okay. Oh, Belfield, right? I think I remember hearing that the other day.
North of Belfield.
Yeah, okay.
And while I was going to school, I had an opportunity to connect with a couple of people that were working for the Sheriff's Office and kind of liked what I was hearing from them. So started out as a part-time gig and turned into a career.
Wow. Yeah, that's a little bit of a change. What did Mom and Pop say when you went home and told them, here's what I think I'm going to do. I know we could grow some wheat out here, but I'd also like to chase bad guys.
Well, initially it wasn't too bad until I started working narcotics, and then my dad was thinking that probably wasn't the best idea, but it sort of grew on him as well.
I want to ask you about a couple of the things here that you've done. I always have to ask about Life Saving Award. When I hear that, I think there must be a story behind that. Was there some big event that happened that led to that award?
It was response to a medical assist call. An individual had a heart attack, and we ended up doing CPR with him, and were able to get him to the hospital, and unfortunately he did pass away about a week or so later. But it was, I guess to me, it was rewarding just from the standpoint that it gave that family an opportunity to say their goodbyes rather than just all of a sudden having him taken away.
Right.
Yeah, no kidding. It also says that in your biography here that you've had a number of defendants, people that you've arrested, that have come back to you later saying, you changed my life, thanks for helping me out, and seeing people get their life turned around. Tell us about that.
One in particular that really has stuck with me over the years. I had dealt with him in about mid-'80s, and he was looking at some significant time. Had interviewed him and had a conversation with him afterwards about life decisions and choices and how to basically make some difference. I saw him about 5 years later when he walked up to me at a presentation that I was doing, and he said, "Hey, remember me?" Which always sends a little bit of panic in you.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
I bet.
Okay, is this somebody that I've known for a long time? I met him in school or whatever, and he told me what the circumstances were. And at that time, he had already taken care of his penalties, if you want to call it that, and had gotten involved in a church in the community and was working with a youth group. I then saw him again probably 25 years later and reconnected with him, and just listening to his life story afterwards of where he had gone after I'd last talked to him was just amazing.
Yeah, and he was still walking a good straight path 25 years later.
He was walking a good straight path. He had literally gone some out-of-country missions. He had been out in the inner cities, out in East Coast, working with the inner city there, and he and his family were living in one of our small towns out here in Cass County.
Wow.
It's one of those things that when you look back at your career, that if you're having a bad day, you kind of anchor back to those points and remember that it's worth it.
Now, you yourself have done a number of trips helping with, it says 12 years with ministry groups, 13 trips to do volunteer work in inner city Detroit and Chicago. Your faith means something to you.
Absolutely. It was one thing that it's really easy, I think, depending on how long you're in the career and what type of things you experience to kind of get somewhat jaded. And that was one thing that really kept me anchored as far as with understanding people and getting a chance to, instead of looking at their circumstances necessarily, it was an opportunity to kind of feel their heartbeat and realize that, they're like me. They made some different choices than I did. But they're still human beings, and in a sense, they're my brothers.
Yeah, that's right. What a great story. Jesse, you can tell when we had the ceremony over Luther the other day, I don't know how many people you got in your staff, but I feel like just about all of them were there. This is a very popular guy. What's he meant to your team?
Sure. Well, much, you can tell by just talking to him and his life experience, what he brings to the table, both in his personal life and then professionally, and all the years and different things that he's done in law enforcement. And he brings those things to our younger officers, much like he said. He gets the opportunity to work with them now in his sergeant capacity on patrol, and we're bringing on new patrol officers for him to share that knowledge. Both his life experience and his law enforcement experience is a tremendous asset to our agency. And so, when I first started working with Tony, it was in a SWAT capacity. At that point, he was on the SWAT team. I was just starting. He was a team leader in that capacity, and he coached and he mentored me as I spent my career through SWAT. So he's just, with 45 years at our agency, he's coached and mentored a lot of people, a lot of our officers, and what he brings to the table that way is tremendous.
Yeah. Tony, at 45 years, there had to have been some experiences that got a little scary. Did you ever find yourself in a spot and you said, I don't know how this is going to turn out?
There have been a couple over the course of time, and fortunately, all of them have turned out well. Obviously, with spending some time on SWAT, had some things that happened there while I was working undercover literally around the state, because I had an area that covered basically all of North Dakota and western Minnesota that were a little more tense. But again, I'm here.
Yeah, and we're so happy and thankful for that. If there was a young person entering the force or the office right now, and I'm sure that there are, what advice would you have for someone just starting out in law enforcement? Maybe it's something that you've learned that nobody could have told you ahead of time, but now you realize it having gone through so much.
There's actually a couple of things that I try to pass on. Number one is remembering who we serve and the fact that typically we end up dealing with about 10% of the population, and they're not always the ones who are making the best decisions. There's 90% of the people out there, though, that are your neighbors, they're your friends, they're relatives. There's, they're people who are doing their best to do the best they can, and to remember that. Like I said earlier, it can be easy to get jaded dealing only with that small minority of people that maybe are having trouble or are making not as positive of choices. The other thing is to maintain your support group, if you will. Having that core group of people around you that kind of will keep you on track and hold you accountable.
Yeah, interesting stuff. How's the job changed in 45 years? Obviously, technology is going to be different, but overall, are things worse? Is there more criminal activity, more drugs? Well, what's changed in 45 years?
Well, the first thing that changed is about the time I started is we tied our horses up at the hitching rail.
Yeah, the cars go a little faster now, don't they?
Never told that one before, have you, Dawn?
With regards to is there more crime, total numbers, yes. Percentage-wise, not really. We have to look at it and realize that our community is growing pretty fast, and the same percentages I think are pretty much the same as what they were in the past. Same types of things as far as types of crimes and that. The drug thing is one that is obviously concerning. Seeing that it seems as though that's almost a cyclic type deal as far as for this period of time, cocaine is going to be the big thing, and then it's heroin, and then it may be methamphetamine or whatever. But it seems like that just cycles through.
It's always something.
It's always something.
Well, Tony, we appreciate so much your job and your service, the work you've done here. The team at Sandy's Donuts saying their thanks too. They'll be delivering some goodies over to you as well. And Joel and his team at Luther Family Ford donated a $100 gift card to the department and to you in particular. And you had a place that you wanted to give to that. So tell us where that ended up going.
I asked for that to go to the Deputies Association. It may sound selfish. That certainly wasn't my intent. But one of the things that the Deputies Association does is every year at Christmas time, we have some families out in our communities that are a little bit less fortunate and may not have as bright a Christmas as maybe some others do. So we take some presents out and some food baskets and that sort of thing to try to help build them up.
Yeah, good stuff. 8:18, Need to Know Morning Show. Kevin, you had a question?
Well, no, I was just going to say, Tony, if you ever need going out to the SWAT range and you ever need somebody to load your mags or keep track of stuff, Alex and I would be happy to join you anytime.
Thanks for the shout, Kevin.
There you go. Anytime.
Well, and if you're going to load them, you have to also shoot them. So
okay,
no problem.
Oh, see, now you're
Twist,
clucking.
twister.
Now you're clucking.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, now.
Jesse,
Jesse.
before we say goodbye to you folks, we just again want to say thanks to you and your whole team for doing what you do. Thanks for the leadership, and you've been so great and accessible to us here at the Flag when we've needed some comment on something too. And we just really respect and admire the job that everybody in your team does. So thanks for what you do and the difference you make in our community.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, Steve, and this thing that both the Flag and Luther does with and Joel here. It's in recognizing our staff and all the law enforcement in this area is really a spectacular thing that you do. These guys go out every day and give it their best. It doesn't matter what agency, and for them to be recognized, I think is really important. So thanks for the support, and we greatly appreciate it. So thanks, Alex.
You got it. Before we let you go, one of the things I wanted to ask you, sorry, Kevin, I know we're going to wrap up this segment, but while you're here, you talked about when you came in, we were asking how are things going. You talked about some of the severe weather things and the fact that navigation can sometimes not be your best friend during times when you shut down an interstate. Would you tell us about that? I think people need to hear that.
Sure. So, over the last few storms that we've had, the individuals that we've dealt with that have been stranded out in their area are ones that haven't been or don't reside around here. So what we've been experiencing is people coming across on our interstate system, and when we get to the road closure areas, their GPS unit diverting them up through the county highway. So currently we're trying to work and get that figured out, so to speak, or see if we can rectify that situation, because a lot of times, we've got so many different county highways, and if people divert off onto those roads, it takes us a while to find them. And if we've got 7 different people stranded on 7 different roads, it's going to take us a while to get to them. So, just trying to work through that situation right now, because that's really the problem that we've been having.
So is navigation sending them up to Highway 2 then to try to get to Minot or Bismarck? Or where's it going?
It just really depends on what their route of travel is, of course. But we've had people stuck down on 46. We've had people stuck up near the Page area that are just trying to go east across our states.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so what can navigation do? They can't just stop you. They got to send you somewhere. So what could happen? What's the best outcome in this?
Well, right now we're trying to work with DOT to maybe get some additional signage. So if that person gets to where that area, where the roads are closed, they would see some additional signage saying that, the whole area is impassable. We're just trying to work with Google Maps and get that plugged into the GPS system. So it doesn't divert them up through those areas. Because it really can be, more dangerous than them even coming across the interstate. Because
but they don't know. If they're not from here and they say, okay, I go north, it must be better up that way where it's pointing me to go. So
exactly. So,
okay. Is that DOT or sheriffs or state patrol who makes the final decision on how that's handled?
Well, we're still trying to work through that and get all those avenues figured out. I mean, it's not DOT doing that on purpose, of course. They're just, some of their information gets inputted, and I'm just trying to work collaboratively with them to see if we can get it figured out. So
makes sense. Good stuff.
Get centered all over the county.
You got some of these apps that aren't Google. It'll take you to a cornfield or something. They're not all up to date.
That was what we had. We had people going down. So,
I'm supposed to be at West Acres. I'm in a cornfield.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Jesse. Yep. Tony, thanks for coming in. Great to see you guys. Take care. 8:22, Need to Know Morning Show. Short break for us. We got weather and then our student athlete of the day coming up right after this.